Backlogs. You have them, I have them, heck, maybe even your dog has them. Backlogs plague our everyday lives for one reason or another. We may be putting off the laundry off one extra day, or maybe we're letting the trash sit by the door one extra night and take it out in the morning. Every little thing we put off just adds to our now ever-growing backlog, more and more as days go by. But in today's case, I am talking about just certain backlogs that categorize in games, animation, books, etc, etc, etc. Not that our everyday backlogs aren't as important as these things. This just seems like a more fun topic to talk about. And if I do talk about my everyday backlog that I have XYZ to do later, it hurts my brain and soul, and I don't feel like talking about it right now. And plus, none of y'all are paying for a therapy session, so let's get that out of the way. Over the last few years, I've personally have come to realize that I will never be caught up with my backlog. And it's a reality that both makes me sad, but makes me appreciate all the things I'm able to enjoy, while I can enjoy them. For example, my anime backlog is massive, and it doesn't help that I haven't really been watching anything as of right now, or for a good while as well. And in the meantime, I've been kind of gaming a bit more than I've been watching stuff, so that's kind of taken precaution. Like, gaming's been coming over watching animation and stuff like that, and that backlog has just tremendously increased while this has happened to me. Anime is such an amazing medium that it's able to combine the beauty of animation with amazing characters, stories, and music that's extremely hard not to develop a backlog early on if you're just starting out. And then you slowly see that list just pile up over the course of time. For example, for me, I've been watching for a good while now, and I have watched my fair share of stuff to this point in my life. But the last real anime that I have watched was the Attack on Titan ending, and before that was the Kaguya-sama Love's War, The First Kiss, which, by the way, is an amazing rom-com movie, and if you aren't watching Kaguya-sama, you're missing out on some great stuff. I guarantee it. I did watch a few things here and there during the year, but I haven't really logged them in any list, but because of this little habits I have been taking, my backlog has been growing ever more than what it has been ever, actually. Most of the stuff on my backlog has been on that list since I've really gotten back into anime, and I was just adding everything that caught my eye or things that people were saying to watch that they recommended. And it just keeps growing more and more as the years go on, especially with second seasons like Vinland Saga Season 2, Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, and some animes that I have watched that are getting another season. The list can go on, and to be honest, it can be such a huge headache, because here are all these amazing works that have been out for XYZ how long, I don't know. The list can go on, and to be honest, it can be such a headache, because here are these amazing works that have been out or that are coming out, and knowing that there's a chance that I may never get to watch them is kind of heartbreaking. There could be a story in this pile of the backlog that could really change the way I think about a story, make me fall in love with a story, maybe change my mindset about something, but I may never get to it because it's just tossed into the void of the never-ending growing backlog. This also ties into my gaming backlog as well, and boy, is this one kind of worse, in my personal opinion. Since I haven't been watching much anime for like a year or so, maybe a little bit more, I've been gaming a bit more. And man, has it been a blast since I've started. I've gotten an upgraded computer that can play some modern games to their best potential or even their full potential, and it has opened a world to me that I just have never gotten to experience before. Like playing Cyberpunk 2077 to its full potential at best resolutions, max settings, all that fun stuff. And re-enjoying the amazing story and game that made me love it even more. Made a video on this, check it out. Then there's BG3, and boy, when I tell you that I loved this game, I loved it to death. I may not have as many hours as some people may have on it, but when I tell you, during the period of time while I was playing this, all I could think about was this game. No joke. At work, I'll be thinking about what I would want to do in BG3 next. Or is there an area that I haven't fully explored yet? So on and so forth. It's such a wonderful time that made me really appreciate games even more. And it's made me appreciate games even more now, especially with how people behind the scenes are losing jobs due to companies' mismanagement. but that's something I don't want to dwell into here. But in the meantime, while I'm playing these games and while I'm enjoying them, the backlog just keeps getting bigger and bigger, of course, as I've stated many times. And this kind of coincides with another issue that I have, because I personally enjoy RPGs. It's my favorite genre of gaming, and the main issue that I have is that I want to say a perfectionist. I don't like to 100% my games, but I enjoy playing side content. Mainly because I think side content sometimes has some of the best aspects of a game, in my opinion, that sometimes the main parts of the game are lacking. Or it even upgrades what I feel about a game even more as I do the side content. And I also just like grinding and making my character overpowered. It's a pretty simple thing. And then the issue arises that these games, for the most part, mind you, are pretty long. For example, my second run in Cyberpunk 2077 was about 65 hour-ish or so. Nothing crazy. But here's where it gets a little interesting. My first campaign in Baldur's Gate 3 was about 80 hours. And for some people, yes, 80 hours or 65 may not be a lot of time for whatever reason. That's completely fine. Why I believe it's personally for me a lot of time is this. So let me put this in perspective for you real quick. Most of my gaming sessions are about 2 to 4 hours at a time, depending on the day and if anything else is going on. But the big overlapping thing is that I don't play games 7 days a week. More or less, it comes down to like 2 to 4 days out of the week if I'm lucky. Mainly because being an adult is a pain in the butt. And then this also is another issue that I have, is that a lot of the reason why I personally don't replay games a lot, unless there's a reason to go back, for example, like Cyberpunk, is because I already took a chunk of my time to play it the first time. But in the meantime, other games are coming out that I really want to explore. A great example of this for me is Baldur's Gate 3. The first campaign took me about 80 some hours, the first go around. But I missed a lot of content that I locked myself out of that I didn't even know was possible, because Baldur's Gate 3 is such a massive and wonderful game that it has content galore. And if I wanted to restart my campaign again, that's probably going to be longer than 80 hours again, or more than 80 hours at that point. Because if I'm going to try to do everything, Lord knows how long that's going to take. And like, that's not a dig at Baldur's Gate 3, mind you, if anyone takes it that way. Baldur's Gate 3 is so far my game of the year because I completed it this year in 2024. And it's just a wonderful game. I would love to keep playing it, but there's other games I want to experience. One of those games is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And I really want to play that game so bad, because I really am interested to see how the story is going to continue. Quick side note here. This is post-recording, writing, whatever you want to call this, raw talking. I did beat it. I loved it. I will not talk about spoilers here, but I loved Rebirth. Then there's also manga, books, and movies, which is just another pile to go through. Dune 2 is out. Everyone's raving about how amazing it is, and here I am wanting to see it, but I can't because I haven't watched the first part. And to add on top of that, my friends recommend the books because they feel there's a lot of details that are left out. I can't speak on that myself because I haven't read the books, and I'm interested in reading more books, so there's that to add into the pile. And then for manga, I'm reading One Piece, which we all know how long that is, but once again, I've added it because it's something I want to do. I know it's going to take time, but in the meantime, while I'm doing it, the pile just grows. And that's not a blast on One Piece. I'm willingly joining the One Piece adventure. So far, I've loved it. I've had no complaints. I think it's an enjoyable story. So far, it's been worth the time, the hype, and everything that I've ever heard about it. But the issue with One Piece that I'm having, but at the same time, it's not really an issue with One Piece itself. It's an issue with me reading manga itself, is that I haven't really been reading any mangas that are completed. So as I'm catching up with the mangas I'm currently reading, they're releasing weekly or monthly, and the story just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing. But like that, it's kind of like, okay. There's just so many things out there to read, watch, play, etc. I just don't have time for it all. I guess this video is just like, the main thing that I'm trying to get out of this video is there is a ton of emotions when it comes to backlogs for me personally. Maybe it's some sort of an anxiety thing, I don't know. I'm not a therapist. I'm not paying anyone here to be my therapist. Probably do need a therapist, but I digress. And like, I really do want to enjoy all these things, but I'm annoyed that I don't have the time to really enjoy them. For me, over the past few years, I've been trying to live every day like it's my last day, because I don't know if I'll be waking up the following day. And I usually always try to do something that holds some sort of meaning to me after I'm done being adult, whatever it has for me in the morning, evening, whatever it is. In my free time, I like to try to enjoy stuff. But I also like to enjoy hanging out with close ones, friends, sitting down to read or play a game, or maybe just doing like some fun activities like streaming or making content or whatever you want to call this stuff here. I really don't have any regrets about the things I've spent time on, just sort of bummed out that there's a lot of things I may never get to experience. And in a sense, that makes me cherish the things that I do. But it does kind of irk me, I guess is the best way to put it, that there could be something out there in my pile that could change my eyes about certain subject matters or change my perspective on something, and I just haven't touched it, or may never get to touch it. Long story short, backlogs suck. They are time consuming, they give off anxiety, at least for me, and sometimes they can put you in a pretty bad mood. However, I do have a sense of loving them. It makes me feel like I always have something that I can do or that I want to do. And it gives me a feeling of maybe if I start insert title here, maybe it could break into my top 5. Maybe I'll fall in love with it and just be a series that I just personally come to love myself. As much as they are a pain, they are cool and do serve a purpose, even though we probably won't admit it. So yeah, thank you all for coming to my TED Talks. I will be billing you all for this therapy session, as you probably will vent in the comments below. So expect a bill from me. And then you all can also bill me as well. Other than that, leave a comment if you want to comment anything about backlogs, like the video if you like the video. But stay hydrated, be safe, take care of yourself, and then I hopefully will see you in the next one. See ya.